Is stress making you dumb? It very well could be. Studies have shown that prolonged exposure to stress can affect the hippocampus, which is a part of our brain that is associated with learning and memory. Specifically, prolonged exposure to stress can potentially shrink the hippocampus volume, make it smaller. Now, if you consider that this part of the brain is associated with learning and memory, the last thing you would want is for that area of the brain to shrink. That right there is good enough reason to get the stress in your life under control. Research has also shown that exposure to stress, especially prolonged chronic type of stress, affects intelligence, both intelligence in general and emotional intelligence. And if you think about it, it makes sense. When we are stressed out, our emotional intelligence is much more likely to suffer in that our reactions and our decision making may be affected when we are feeling anxious and stressed out. Stress has been shown to affect higher mental functions such as concentration and attention, learning and memory. And while what I'm telling you may sound extreme and maybe you're quick to dismiss it, remember that stress has a cumulative effect on our bodies and our minds. Think about all the little stressors that you experience throughout the day. There are so few people out there who are spared daily stressors that I bet you belong to the other group with the rest of us. We experience some kind of stress every single day, be it smaller stressors or sometimes more stressful situations. But the bottom line is that stress is a part of life, and oftentimes stress is a part of every day or almost every day, whether it's something like traffic situation or an argument with a friend or a family member or someone at work. It all adds up, all those little things. Of course, how we react to stress makes a difference. So I invite you to watch some of my other videos that talk about emotions and reactions and taking control. But the bottom line, the point that I'm making is that we all have stressors throughout our lives pretty much every day or almost every day, sometimes smaller, sometimes more significant, but it all adds up. The effects of stress are cumulative. This is so important because unless we are proactive in managing the stress in our lives and how we react and respond to it, these cumulative effects can become a problem, potentially a big problem. You may have heard me say that knowledge is the potential for power. Knowledge isn't power. Knowledge is just information. It's what we do with that information. That's where our power comes in, which is why it's so important for me to share this information with you, because I hope that you take what you learn here and apply it in your own life. Understanding that everyday stressors, big, small, and everything in between, do add up. They do have a cumulative effect. Understanding that helps you to understand that proactivity, being proactive on your end, is critical. So while you may not feel the immediate effects of stress, whether it's in a specific situation or at the end of the day, long term is where the concerns become magnified. You may not identify any issues with concentration or learning, memory, attention at this point. Think long term. Think years or decades from now. If you consider the potential of experiencing issues with your higher cognitive functions sometime down the road, today, the present, is when you have the ability and the opportunity to prevent those things becoming an issue down the road. So why not take control today so that you are not suffering 5, 10, 15, 20 years from now? Why wait until it's too late or until your efforts yield a very small result in comparison? Take what you're learning here today and apply it in your life. So what can you do today to potentially prevent issues with your higher cognitive functions years from now down the road? Well, it's very simple. Manage the stress in your life, which is what this channel is all about. Learning about stress, learning about the things that we can do to better manage the stress in our lives, and as a result, prevent future issues that we may otherwise face years into our lives. So if you consider facing potential issues with your higher cognitive functions sometime down the road, isn't it better, doesn't it make sense to be proactive today in the present so that you can avoid such issues down the road? And that's what this channel is all about, giving you the understanding and the information and the practices that you can then apply in your own life so that you can regain control and be responsible for your own story, whether it's 2 years from now or 20 years or 30 years from now. Be proactive, be active in your own journey. The key to your success lies in your proactive participation in reducing the stress in your life. So what kind of things can you do today to help with potential issues with higher cognitive functions down the road? Well, first and foremost, work on reducing the stress in your life. Engage in exercise on a regular basis. Moving our bodies is a great way to burn off stress. Make sure you get enough rest. Sleep is a good way for us to rejuvenate and for our bodies to process our daily stressors. Make sure you keep a healthy diet. Keep an eye on junk food and sugar and too much caffeine. None of that can serve you, so make sure you work on a healthy diet. Take some time to relax. Engage in play and relaxation activities or recreational activities, things that visibly reduce your levels of stress. If you engage in an activity and you can feel the stress leaving your body and leaving your mind, you're on the right track. To learn more about stress and effective stress management, check out my other videos.